They were bombed during a war, watched their factories burn to ashes, and nearly went bankrupt. So how did Samsung go from a noodle shop to a trillion-dollar empire? This is the untold story of Samsung, not the tech titan we know today, but the fragile, almost forgotten business that clawed its way out of poverty, war, betrayal, and failure. It's a story of risk, resilience, and one man's obsession with building something that would outlive him. It all started in 1938, in a small Korean town called Daegu. A man named Lee Byung-chul opened a tiny trading company with just 40 employees. He named it Samsung, which in Korean means 3 stars, a symbol of greatness. But greatness? That was a long way off. In the beginning, Samsung didn't sell electronics or phones. It sold dried fish, groceries, and handmade noodles. That's right, the biggest electronics empire on earth started with food. For the first decade, things were stable, until the Korean War erupted in 1950. Bombs rained from the sky. Entire towns were wiped out. And just like that, Samsung's headquarters were destroyed. Lee lost almost everything. But he didn't quit. Instead of giving up, he moved the business to Busan, a safer port city in the south. There, Samsung started again, only this time, it pivoted. Lee entered the sugar business, then textiles. He built Korea's largest wool mill, betting everything on the dream of helping rebuild his shattered country. But the risks didn't end there. In the 1970s, Lee did something unthinkable. He tried to build South Korea's very first TV. It was a massive leap. Korea didn't even have a real electronics industry yet. Everyone said it was a mistake. And they were right, at first. The first few models flopped. The technology was clunky. Foreign companies like Sony and Panasonic had a massive lead. Even Lee's own team doubted him. But Lee kept going. He reinvested every profit, imported Japanese tech, and trained thousands of engineers. He burned through cash at an alarming rate. The company was barely hanging on. Then, disaster struck again. In 1987, just as Samsung was finally finding its feet in electronics, Lee Byung-chul died. The entire company went into mourning. Leadership passed to his son, Lee Kun-hee, but investors were nervous. Many believed Samsung wouldn't survive the transition. And then came the fire. In 1995, a massive factory in Gumi, South Korea, caught fire. It was Samsung's main semiconductor plant, the one responsible for the company's future. Hundreds of millions of dollars in chips were lost overnight. It was the final blow, or so it seemed. But instead of retreating, Lee Kun-hee did something radical. He gathered his top executives in a Frankfurt hotel and said something that would change Samsung forever. Change everything, except your wife and children. He made them burn 150,000 defective phones in a public ceremony. It was symbolic. A message: mediocrity was dead. Samsung would now focus on quality, innovation, and global leadership, no matter the cost. From that moment on, Samsung reinvented itself. They poured billions into research, design, and branding. They studied Apple, Sony, and Nokia obsessively. And by 2010, just 15 years after that fire, Samsung had become the world's #1 smartphone maker. But even then, success was fragile. In 2016, the Galaxy Note 7 started exploding in people's hands. Over 2.5 million units were recalled. Billions were lost. Social media mocked them relentlessly. Airlines banned the phone on flights. It felt like the end again. So what did Samsung do? They apologized, publicly. Then they slowed down production, overhauled their battery testing, and brought in outside experts. Instead of running from the fire, they stepped right into it, and built fireproof armor for the future. If you were running Samsung at that moment, would you have recalled 2 million phones? Let me know in the comments, because that one decision could have broken them for good. Today, Samsung makes everything from phones and TVs to construction materials and military equipment. They build skyscrapers in Dubai and ships in Korea. They power half the world's smartphones and make chips for their rivals, including Apple. But beneath all that success lies a story of survival. Of bombs and bankruptcy. Of fathers and sons. Of failure after failure, until success finally stuck. Have you ever felt like life just kept knocking you down, again and again? Samsung did, but they kept standing up. What started with Noodles now touches nearly every corner of the tech world. Not because they were the best, but because they refused to stop. What would you have done after the war, the fire, the ridicule? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your version of the story. If this story moved you, hit like and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, what's your Samsung mom?